Hey you guys, welcome to Oil Camp 3. I'm so excited that you're here. We are going to talk about emotions, okay? So I want to start out by talking about why our emotions matter. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like your emotions had just a little too much control? Right? Like your feelings were literally running your life, like influencing how you showed up in relationships, how or maybe whether you accomplished your work, whether you ate well or ordered pizza, right? Whether you did something productive or Netflix binged. If you have, you're not alone, right? Our emotions are very, very powerful, but they are not at the helm of your ship. You are, right? You are. You are in control of your feelings. Or perhaps a more accurate statement would be you have the power to be in control of your feelings if you choose to use it, right? So let's think about that. How does that feel? I have the power to be in control of my feelings if I choose to use it. Does that feel good? Does it feel a little heavy? Maybe even a little, guilt coming up there, or maybe even a little unfair, like almost like a responsibility you don't necessarily want to accept, right? So that's one way we can feel. Or does it feel empowering, right? Does it feel exciting, like suddenly you are in charge, like you took back a power that you didn't even realize you'd given away, right? Like there's hope for a more elevated life than the one that you've been experiencing. So either way is fine. Whatever you initially felt when I asked the question is fine. But given that we believe in the power of choice, can I offer you a challenge? Are you willing to choose to see it as empowering? Right? Are you willing to choose to use your power to be in control of your emotional experience? Now, I'm not saying that if you're feeling sad or angry or bitter or hurt, that you should live in denial and bury it somewhere deep down inside where it can't hurt anyone, right? That doesn't work, right? It's a flawed idea because it absolutely does hurt someone, and that person is you, and we know that. So if it hurts you, it eventually will hurt your productivity and your work life and your relationships and everything. So that can't be the answer, right? Denial and burying our feelings is not the answer. So what is the answer then? How do we balance being aware of our feelings and acknowledging our feelings without being controlled by our feelings, right? So there are two thoughts that I want to share in answer to this. Marianne Williamson, she's an amazing transformational thought leader. She's just got such great insight into the world and life and love and everything. So she wrote a book called A Course in Weight Loss. And it's subtitled 21 Spiritual Lessons for Surrendering Your Weight Forever. And it's incredible. If, so eye-opening about the real reasons that we put on weight, the reasons that we hold on to weight or have a hard time releasing weight, right? So if that is or ever has been a struggle in your life, then I highly recommend her book because it's phenomenal. But as I was listening to this book, Marianne shared a simple phrase that just resonated so deeply with me. And that thought was, she just said, you were meant to travel lightly on this earth. Now, in the context of a weight loss book, that meaning is pretty obvious, right? We were meant to be light, not to be heavy or overburdened with weight that was more than we were designed to carry, right? But to me, there was a deeper and an even more impactful meaning, and that is that we weren't meant to carry a really heavy load, to have each life experience add another rock to the weight that we're carrying, where we just continue to accumulate weight our whole lives. We're humans, so we're going to have hard experiences and sad feelings and angry feelings, resentful feelings, but we aren't meant to keep them forever, right? We're meant to feel things and then release them, to experience things and then release them and move forward. We aren't meant to feel increasingly weighed down as experience after experience after experience piles up, and we begin to hunch over, right? To walk more slowly, to bend to the weight of our burden. We were meant to travel lightly on this earth. So I love that thought, and it's important to realize that it's okay to feel our feelings, right? It's important to feel our feelings, to acknowledge them, but we don't have to keep them, right? We don't have to build a second story and invite them to move in. We don't have to live with them forever, and we don't have to be controlled by them. We can feel them and then choose what we want to do next, choose how we want to react, how we want to show up, and in essence, choose who we want to be, right? But sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it takes emotional maturity or a level of emotional adulthood that we don't always want to operate from, right? It's hard to operate that way, or it can be in the beginning at least. We have these long-held beliefs, these long-held emotional patterns that are so ingrained in us that it's like a trolley car, right? That it's on a track and it gets on the track and it goes where it always goes. It follows the same line, the same route, time after time after time. So what we need then is something to help us in interrupt the pattern, right? To provide us a little space in which we can then choose a new ending. So that's where the essential oils come in, right? They act as pattern interrupters to give us a little space to choose a new ending. So as we move along in camp, we'll talk about this more and bring in some other experts to kind of help you grab a hold of this concept and understand how essential oils can help. And the reason that this is Camp 3 is because so much of what we've talked about in our previous camps lays the foundation for this conversation, right? If you think about the topics that we covered, back in Oil Camp 2 and the wellness pyramid, right? And we talked about the importance of good nutrition and of sleep and managing stress and reducing the toxic load on our bodies, right? Those things are absolutely essential to our emotional well-being. These are all factors that contribute to how capable we feel of responding well when emotions run high. Right? Think about this. If we're well rested, we will respond better. If we aren't overly stressed, we will respond better. If we are fueled with the right nutrients that allow our bodies to produce the neurotransmitters that we need to feel good, we will respond better. And if we can reduce or eliminate the toxins that inhibit the production of the neurotransmitters that help us feel good, we will respond better, right? So can you see the correlation? These aren't just like, topics that we feel like we've talked about and heard about so many times, nutrition and sleep and all of this, that we kind of tune it out. These are really, we want you to see the connection between these things because they're so important for physical health, as we've already discussed, but also for emotional health, right? They're essential for our emotional well-being. And so the goal is that we live lives that are empowered, right? That we have information that influences our actions, because when we know better, we do better, right? So our goal here at Oil Camp is to help you see the correlation and to have deepen your understanding, or maybe open up your understanding if these concepts are new, so that you can begin to act in a different way and choose a different ending for your own self. So the last thing I want to address before we begin is what we want this group to feel like, right? It's really important that we lay the right foundation here, because we are talking about emotions during this camp, which means that we're moving into a space that has the potential to feel vulnerable, both for us as coaches and for you as campers. And so our very top priority is that in the next 10 days that everyone just feels safe here, right? That they feel, that you feel supported and loved and not misunderstood or judged or any of those negative feelings. And for some of us, these feelings of love and understanding are maybe not feelings that we're accustomed to feeling, right? We may not be in workplaces or our families or relationships that make us feel safe and supported and loved. But here in this space, we invite you to help us make that kind of sanctuary for each other so that we can have a great 10 days together and really dive in and move forward in our lives in a more positive way. So in order to do that, we have 3 specific requests. The first is that you show up, right? Be committed to yourself and to supporting each other here for the next 10 days. More so than with any of our other camps, we ask that you be here, right? For yourself and for each other. Because when people unite in support of one another, the results are powerful. But we first have to commit to be here, right? The second is we ask that you show trustworthiness. Sharing from the heart can take great courage, and so let's be respectful of that, and let's choose that what's shared here in the group stays in the group, and that we will honor each other by choosing to be trustworthy sounding boards for one another as we work through this idea of emotional well-being. And then the third concept is that we ask that you just show love, right? Our highest intention is that this be a place of love and acceptance and support. And so in all of your interactions with your coaches, with each other, and most importantly with yourself, we ask that you show love, okay? So if that sounds fair to you, then we invite you to just comment below that you're in and let us know that. What we're going to share with you here has the power to change your life in a really significant way. So we invite you to choose in, all the way in, showing up, being trustworthy, and showing love. So if you're in, comment below, and let's get started.